Welcome back to your soon-to-be favorite podcast. I'm Angelica.
And I'm Kelsey.
And this is
Here We Grow.
Fish are friends, not food.
Because in the club, we all fam.
Huh?
Because in the club, we all fam.
I don't... What?
Because in the club, we are all family. Are you racist? That's what's stuck in my head all day. Because in the club, we all fam.
Oh my God. I think everyone's being so creative with it too. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. I have not seen a bad one yet.
Nope, haven't. I've even seen people I know doing it.
Really?
Like doing, versions of it, yeah.
We should do something like
Okay.
that. Gotta think about it.
Yeah, gotta think about it.
Gotta think about it.
You and Mario should do it when you're in your costumes.
We should.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I want to have a sexy, like, photo shoot in our costumes.
Sex scene.
I want to have a sexy photo shoot in our costumes. Like in the hotel, like before we leave or something.
Yeah. That'd be cute. Take the ring light.
I was like, take what? What are you looking at?
Because if you're going to do a photo shoot, you're going to need a ring light.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're going to do a photo shoot,
Yeah.
you're going to need a ring light.
Yeah.
And that one can hold your phone.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, oh yeah.
Yeah, because you swapped it out.
Well, hang on. But I'd have to time it though.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously.
Wait, is this one broken? I don't remember.
No, you swapped it out, remember?
So it works?
Yes. So I've been making breakfast sandwiches at home.
Mm-hmm.
And they are fire, okay? Just get you a bag of frozen sausage patties and a bag of frozen biscuits. And you can pop both of them in the air fryer if you want to. Or you can fry the sausage patties on the skillet and then put the biscuits in the air fryer. By the way, any biscuits, even the ones you get in the can at the store, like in the refrigerator, put it in the air fryer.
Ooh.
Much better in the air fryer than in the oven, because it gives it that crispy outside and the soft, like doughy inside, even better than the oven does.
Huh.
And without like almost like burning it on the bottom. You know what I mean? It kind of makes it hard on the bottom. I have not made a biscuit in the oven in months because it's so much better in the air fryer. Now, the package won't give you, so you can do frozen biscuits in the air fryer. There's instructions for that. But the ones you get in the refrigerator, they're in the can. It doesn't have air fryer instructions, but if you look it up, you can see like how long you put raw biscuit dough in the air fryer. It's very good. Highly recommend. This is a sausage cheese biscuit, and it was fire. We made one for Cash too, and the next morning he asked us for a burger. We're like, we don't have burgers. And then Travis goes, no, I think he thinks his sausage cheese biscuit was a burger. And so now he calls it burger. So yeah, it's his breakfast burger.
I love that.
And then the first one I made was actually sausage, peanut butter, and jelly.
Girl.
It's so good. Don't knock it until you try it. It's so good. You'd put peanut butter and jelly on a biscuit, right?
No.
Like if somebody told you to, you could put peanut butter and jelly on a biscuit, eat it. It's just like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No.
What?
No.
How do you eat your biscuits?
With jelly, and that's it.
Okay, but why not peanut butter? Peanut butter goes with jelly. It's just bread.
Yeah, but with sausage.
The sausage is the weird part, but
sausage is
consider that sausage is salty, and then you get the sweet jelly. Some people even put jelly on a sausage biscuit, like from the restaurant. Like if you go to Burger King, they'll offer you jelly with a sausage biscuit.
There's restaurants that have jelly on their burgers.
Yeah.
And peanut butter, too.
And it's because of the sweet and salty. I'm telling you. I'm going to make you one and bring it to you, make you try it. This was actually from my childhood. Aunt Tracy used to make us these. They were so good. But honestly, I'm loving the cheese ones even better, so I've been making the cheese ones. It's a lot less work. Just slap it together.
Yeah,
and actually, like,
really good.
I'll put it together before I leave for work and fold it up in foil so the cheese melts. And then I'll eat it on the way to work. So fucking good.
It.
So good. So that's my little breakfast burger.
Yeah, I love that. Really good.
Yeah. Okay, quote of the week. Oh, hello, guys. We're back.
You were just on your pictures, too.
Yeah, I know, and then I closed it.
Yes, we are back. I have already gone to Salem and back.
There we go. Yes. Hopefully we'll be able to do like some Salem history or something like that with stuff that you've learned while you're there or things to like further research on while you're there.
Yeah. Talking about the Salem witch trials.
Yep. And I've told Angelica to try to keep like a record, like a journal of things that happen while you guys are on your trip so we can talk about it when you get back. All right. Quote of the week. Quote of the week. Maturity is when you can finally ride the ups and downs of life without getting tossed around by them. You don't expect everything to be perfect. You know change is a constant. You don't judge yourself when times get hard. You live in gratitude. You enjoy the good when it is here. So it kind of goes back to, I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast, that TED Talk where he's like, you know, imagine your life like a book. Every page of the book is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like life is just fine. Everything's great. There's no arrival to perfect. It wouldn't be a worthwhile life if things didn't happen, if things weren't up and down.
Yeah. It's funny how I constantly think about, this is going to sound so weird, but like, it is what it is. I constantly think about the future, like me and like, let's say 20 years or whatever, not even 20 years, 10 to 15 years, where like my children, I don't know, they're like rummaging through stuff or they're trying to find something in my closet and they come across something and they're like, what is this about? And then I'm like, once upon a time, mommy was married to a dipshit. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Or like my niece and nephew, like, oh, who's this guy in our pictures? And it's like, oh, that's Tweedledum fuck. Yeah. I just like think about like, yeah, it's been rough, but like one day
you're gonna tell that story to someone, and
it's gonna be like this crazy like
cautionary tale almost.
Yeah, and it's and they're gonna be like, wow, you, that's crazy. Like, well, like you just look so much happier now, and thank God that
Yeah, that's true.
So if you kind of like going back to like romanticizing your life, just think about like this would make a great story.
Like, do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot, man.
No, really, be careful with that. That could get dangerous.
Seriously, don't put yourself in harm's way.
Okay.
Or even sometimes where I'm like, life is. Well, it's like you have to go through the lows to appreciate the highs, or else you'll never know what a high is.
If you just had highs all the time, then you'd be a snob.
Absolutely.
That's kind of like
but even then I don't think that's true. Who's ever had all the highs?
True. Everybody's missing something from their life. That's kind of like I've said before that I'm grateful that I went to public school because, and not that I'm saying bad things about public school. I think public school is great. People shit on public school because we lack in funding and we don't have quite as good of an education or selection of teachers that maybe private schools do. But what it did teach me was diversity and so much about other cultures that I really appreciate to this day that I would not have gotten if I went to private school. I would not have been this immersed in different cultures if I went to a private school.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like half a dozen either way. You get the experience in public school plus education. In private school, you get a slightly better education, but no experience.
Yep.
Yep.
Amen, sister. Did you ever think that so we come from inner city schools. Did you ever think that the public schools that were on the outs were better?
Yeah, I did used to think that.
I used to think that too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
like
they're the same funding, same like
if anything, and if anything, they were large schools, large populations. You got lost in the sauce. Like, at least with our inner schools, our classrooms weren't. You know what I mean? Like there weren't that many kids.
My graduating class was 85 people.
Oh yeah, my class was.
But most people like Tech. Well,
everyone
Tech was
knew
a
each
bigger
other.
School. Tech was a bigger school, but the graduating class in Tech's like 200-300 people.
Yeah, not 600 people. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needing to like rent out an entire stadium to do
ridiculous.
Graduation.
Imagine. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all ready for the first story? Y'all ready for this?
We also ran out and got snacks. Shout out Mario.
Yeah, so if you guys forgot, because it's been a week already, we're recording this on the same day as the previous episode. But we get up from the table to take a break because Mario got here and we're like, I'm like, do you have any snacks? I should have brought snacks. She's like, yeah, I just thought about that. And then we had Mario take us to the store to get Takis. And now we're fueled and ready. Let's go. All right. This one is called My Wife Has a Removable Face.
Okay.
I've never glimpsed what lies beneath it, but my best friend has.
Wait, your wife, but your best friend?
Yeah.
Hold on. Like, what?
We gonna find out.
Okay.
Samantha told me about it on our third date. We were watching a movie on her couch when I made my move to kiss her. She whipped her hand in front of my face and blocked me. There's something you need to know, she said. I braced myself. Here it comes. I'm not ready for a relationship. Nothing to do with you, of course. It was the absolute last thing that I wanted to hear because I was already crazy about her. Okay, I said. I have a removable face. That's a new one.
What?
You have a what now? I was about to laugh, but she was wearing a deadly serious expression. I have a removable face. Is that like a metaphor or something? No, my face is literally removable. Look closely. She lifted her chin.
Sorry.
Just lifting her chin.
I know.
Like this.
I realized after I yelled that anyone could do that.
And traced her jawline with a finger. You can see the seam. After admiring how beautiful her neck was for a dizzying moment, I leaned in for an inspection. It was very hard to see, but it did look like there was a slightly unnatural transition there from her face to her throat.
Huh?
I grew dizzier as a dozen questions rushed into my brain. Don't bother asking why or how or anything like that, said Samantha. Okay. Just forget about it. I can't tell you that. If that's going to be a problem, you should leave now. I'm letting you know this because I like you and I want to take the next step, but this is non-negotiable. What?
Nah, girl, I'm gonna need more information.
If you really like me, you'll tell me.
Hang on, have you heard that story of like, I think it's like scary stories we don't tell in the dark, or we do tell in the dark?
Do we tell them or we don't?
I don't remember. Comment below. That girl with the scarf around her neck. And yeah, she like married a guy, and the guy was like, I never asked her. I just figured she just really liked scarves.
Yeah.
And then like
men.
I know, like ask more questions. Have some more self-respect.
Be a little bit more
curious,
intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never like asked her anything. Like she just always wore scarves. And then one day when she passed away, they were like, you know, like getting her ready for her funeral. And I think he wanted to like exchange out the scarf. And when he did, her head fell off.
That's crazy.
So all these questions, I'm like, wait, what?
You should be asking these questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I said, unsure of what was happening. Not a problem. So what? So what? You have a removable face. Who cares? It looks good. Well, men, for fucking real. There's something else. Once a day, usually in the evening, I have to remove the face and disinfect the inside of it. If I don't, it will rot.
Oh, no. No.
This takes about an hour, give or take, depending on how my day went. During this time, you must never, ever look at my real face, ever. Do you understand?
Okay, hang on. If I was dating for funsies, this is something I would tell the guy.
just to be a dick. Oh my gosh.
Just to see if they go along with it. Like,
yeah. If they're like, well, all right. Or if they just like run away to ghost you.
What are they going to do? Tell people I have a removable. You sound crazy, bud.
I'm like, man, I just left this girl. She said she got a removable face. All right. Yes, got it. Don't ask about it. Don't look at your real face.
Wow, he must really be in love.
Samantha stood up. Now, I'm going to go in the bathroom and clean my face. That will give you... I think
Girl, you gotta do this right now.
It's gonna end up being more funny than scary.
Wait, she said it takes about an hour?
Yeah.
So you just expect him to stay there for an hour?
Hold on, let me read it. That will give you plenty of time to think about what I've told you. If you're here when I'm done, that's great. I would like that. But if you're gone, I'll understand.
See, that's a good testament. Guys,
Yeah.
if you're dating out there, do this.
She turned and
Let
walked.
me know how it goes.
She turned and walked into the bathroom. What did I just say? She turned and walked in the bathroom.
So many stories that involve the bathroom.
I sat in stunned in silence as I heard the bathroom door close. I gave the thing some serious thought. It was possible that it was a joke of some kind. It was possible that it was a delusion. Was it possible that it was true? Well, it was certainly possible to transform an actor's face with movie makeup, so I suppose it was possible that Samantha wore a removable face every day.
What?
Yeah. Maybe she had a horrible accident where her flesh had been mangled. Maybe her face had melted by acid or burned by fire, or the skin shorn off by heavy machinery. If it had, I would never know because she would never tell me and I would never see it.
Hang on, pause. I'm not okay. Look. There's so many advances to our medicine and you know what I mean? It
could be.
I mean, I wouldn't believe it personally without knowing more background, but maybe.
But maybe,
I mean,
it's possible. I pictured a face of raw, naked muscle rotting away. Could I kiss her? If that was what I was kissing.
Wait, hang on. But also, sorry. But also, like, removable face, bro. Come on, bruh. It has to connect to all the nerves and all the muscles.
You'd be able to tell, like, around the eyes, around the mouth.
Exactly. It doesn't just cut off right here.
Yeah. Okay.
Stupid boy.
But wasn't that what we were all under the skin? Just muscle and bone and blood and squishy organs?
Why are you justifying this?
I placed her around the living room, running my hand through my hair. I mean. I liked Samantha a lot. She was smart and funny and beautiful. But was that beauty real? Did it count? Did it matter if it was real or not? Was I being superficial even worrying about it? When she came, yes. But also, like, she should be.
Like, run, dude.
When she came out of the bathroom, I was still there. I looked at her face. She smiled, and I was in love. We dated. What? We moved in together. We decided to get married.
What?
For the most part, it was a completely normal relationship, typically of two young people in love, building a life together. During the day, it was easy to forget about the face altogether. It looked natural enough, and only in certain positions, in certain lights, was there ever any indication that it wasn't natural. But every night was the same. Samantha would close herself in the bathroom, sometimes for an hour, sometimes for 2, and clean the inside of her face.
Did you say every night, right?
Yes. The curiosity never left me. I would sit there and wonder what was under that face. I came so close to barging in on her a few times, but I never did. I did occasionally ask her about it, about what, if anything, had happened, about how it was possible to make the removable face look so real, about what it really looked like underneath, which she told him not to do, not to ask her about it. I tried to coax her into showing me, assuring her that I loved her no matter what and didn't give a damn what her real face looked like. I was just curious, and that's all. She never showed me or told me the story behind it. She didn't get upset at me unless I was really badgering her. She'd just shrug and say, "You know you can't see it. You know I can't tell you about it." I never told anyone about Samantha's removable face. It's not that she asked me not to. I just didn't think it was anybody's business. Interesting that she didn't ask anybody, she didn't ask him to not tell anybody. Except once, I did tell somebody. It was during my bachelor's party. We had rented several cabins in Big Sur and spent the night drinking and packing our noses with powders that we shouldn't have been packing our noses with. Everyone else had passed out, and the sun was creeping up behind us as I stood on the majestic cliffs with my friend Chris. Chris, what are you doing in this story?
Get out of there, bud.
Looking down on the Pacific waves crashing against the rocks. Chris was my
award for the most supportive
friend,
actor or whatever.
Is
friend,
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris was my best friend, as close to a brother as I'd known. We'd grown up together and visited each other at college often, and spent the summers together. After college, we'd moved to different cities, but we stayed in close contact. Standing there on the cliffs, I told Chris about Samantha's removable face. At first, he thought I was joking. Then he had 1,000 questions, most of which I couldn't answer. What's underneath? I don't know, man. I don't know. Doesn't that drive you crazy not knowing? I shrugged. Lots of stuff I don't know. Don't know how to do calculus. And I don't know what happens when we die. But dude, she's about to be your wife, and you don't even know what she looks like? I mean, I'd have to take a look. Like, you could set up a camera in the bathroom.
Ooh.
That's where she does it, right? Set up a camera and have a look, and then you'll know.
Oh my God.
I sighed. Yeah, it drives me crazy. I've asked her 1,000,000 times, but she told me I could never look. Gotta respect that, man. Even if I don't like it, that's love. True.
I guess.
Chris laughed. You telling me to respect a woman up is down now? You telling me? Oh, you're telling me to respect a woman? Up is down now. Like he's never respected a woman before. Yeah. Then we fell back into talking about old times.
You could have left that part out of the story,
Right.
but
It was very self-deprecating. Chris was in town for business last week and planned on spending the weekend at our house. The conversation at Big Sur had happened 4 years ago, and we hadn't spoken about Samantha's removable face since.
What?
Despite keeping in close contact and seeing each other as often as two people transforming into adults in different parts of the country can. It happened on Saturday evening. We were lounging lazily in the backyard, deep into the beer, having just finished with some grilled steaks when I got a text from work. God damn it, I groaned. I have to make a work call. Seriously, said Samantha, raising an artificial eyebrow. You didn't have to say that.
Yeah, do her eyebrows move?
She raised them, apparently.
Why would he call it artificial? Is it still not her face?
It's her removable face, so it's artificial eyebrow.
But it's still like...
The muscle of the eyebrow, is that what you're talking about?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I realize now
What?
What I've been thinking this whole time is not
What were you thinking? Eyelash? What were you thinking?
No.
What?
Okay, so like... I'm so sorry. I'm going to sound so stupid right
I love it. Tell me.
Okay, so the general consensus is that she had some kind of accident, and her face from birth is completely no more.
Or the accident.
Yeah, right.
You said the accident and then her face from birth. Like, those are two different situations.
Well, it's meant like her original face is no more.
Oh,
it's gone.
yes.
So the face that she does have on
is an artificial face, yes.
Is a face
like
constructed.
a transplanted face or something.
Right.
Yeah.
My dumb ass thought that they cut it off for whatever reason and then just sewed it back on, but her face.
Oh, her face still.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
But also, why would they do that?
Yeah.
But then again, we don't know anything, so just keep reading. You're right. Okay, her artificial eyebrow.
Seriously, said Samantha, raising an artificial eyebrow. On a Saturday night? My biggest client, baby. Sorry. It is what it is, I guess, said my wife. I'm going to head inside and get cleaned up. Chris, are you okay just hanging out for a bit? Chris smiled. I'll be fine. Got my beer, got some weeds to pull in your garden. God knows your lazy-ass husband isn't going to do it. Oof. Those tomatoes are choking to death. It's a tragedy. Wow, Chris has a green thumb.
Okay, Chris. And he respects women.
I rolled my...
He's single, ladies.
Maybe. We don't know. I rolled my eyes and went into the side yard to make my call. 15 minutes into it, I heard the screams coming from inside. Oh, no. Both my best friend and my wife were wailing in terror. I dropped the phone and ran into the house and down the hall to our bedroom. Through the open door, I could see that the door to the master bathroom was also standing open. Don't come in, screamed Samantha. I don't have my face on. Call an ambulance. An ambulance?
Sorry, just the phrase. I don't have my face on.
Yeah. He looked. Oh, God, he looked. She sounded desperate and truly horrified. That made me desperate and horrified, and I wanted to rush into the bathroom, but I knew suddenly that would be a mistake. I knew suddenly that Samantha didn't want me to look at her face, not out of a sense of vanity, but for my own safety. Chris staggered backwards out of the bathroom. He was holding a straightened out paperclip, which he had used to pick the privacy lock.
Bruh!
You picked the lock. This is unhinged.
Why would you do that?
Now he was stabbing it again and again into his eyes, shouting gibberish. He was clearly in the depths of madness and it turned my stomach to see him mutilate himself.
What?
So she wasn't asking for him to call an ambulance for her. It was for Chris. Call a fucking ambulance, my wife screamed. Don't come in here. He fucking looked. I turned and ran back to the side yard where my phone was lying in the newly mowed grass. My client was still on the line, alarmed, asking what happened, what all the screaming was. I hung up on him and called 911. When the paramedics arrived, Chris was having a seizure in the hallway. Samantha was stroking his head, sobbing. Her face was on, but it had been done hastily, and everything looked a little off. My world has been dark this past week. My best friend is in a psychiatric hospital under suicide watch. He's completely blind and mostly catatonic, except when he slips into a violent babbling mania. The doctors are optimistic that his state is temporary, but don't know the truth about what caused it because I told the paramedics that Chris had taken a large dose of psychedelic mushrooms and fallen into psychosis. That's quite the lie. You could have just been like, I don't know why he's like this. He just did this all of a sudden. Mushrooms is pretty, like, far off from what actually happened.
Yeah, but can't they drug test that?
Right. I don't know how long mushrooms stay because it's digested.
But still, though, they probably would have
right
had
away
him pee in something.
Yeah. I saw no good reason to tell the truth about what happened. Who would believe that one look at my wife's real face would make somebody insane? At best, we would be the subjects of a long investigation. At worst, we would have to prove that we were saying was true by showing somebody else Samantha's face. Then the same thing would happen again, and what after that? I have no idea and no interest in finding out. For Samantha's part, I knew that she would never consent to show anybody her real face, no matter the consequences of refusal were. I did get a follow-up call from the police asking me to confirm my story. The hospital found no traces of psilocybin in Chris's blood.
That's why, yeah, you're right. Like, why would you lie? Just say you don't know.
Though that's not unheard of since it has a short half-life. If they end up testing his hair, I will likely be in a lot of trouble because that's truly the least of my concerns. Samantha is in a state of her own. She still cleans the inside of her face, though not as regularly. And when she puts it back on, it's always crooked now. It is beginning to smell a little bit.
Oh, no. Samantha, girl, what are you doing? Why are you slacking?
Oh, no, baby. What is you doing?
Excuse me.
I've turned to reassure her that it wasn't her fault. He knew, I said. I told him that nobody was ever allowed to look at it. He knew, and then he broke into the bathroom. This is not you, baby. Please talk to me. Not on me? That one look at my fucking face makes people insane? Please. I just need some time alone.
Oh, so she's not mad that you told your friend Chris.
Yeah. As for me, I am doing my best to hold it together. Do you know what's strange, though? Despite what happened to Chris, I still find myself curious about what my wife's real face looks like. More curious than ever, really. That's the end.
Okay, I gotta Google this.
You do that while I pick the next story.
This is called Footsteps.
You said it like it was a poetry.
As Boleyn comes in here looking for Takis.
Should I give him one?
Yeah. Look at the way he's looking at me. Oh! Okay. You said this is a short one. It starts off, this is long, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, they have a weird sense of what's long stories on Reddit, because we've had long stories. That one's not one of them.
I've never had to tell this story with enough detail to actually explain it all the way, but it is true, and it happened when I was about 6 years old. In a quiet room, if you press your ear against the pillow, you can hear your heartbeat. As a kid, the muffled rhythmic beats sounded like soft footsteps on a carpeted floor. And so as a kid, almost every night, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I would hear those footsteps and I would be ripped back to consciousness, terrified. For my entire childhood, I lived with my mother in a fairly nice neighborhood that was in a transitional phase. People of lower economic means were gradually moving in, and my mother and I were two of these people. We lived in the kind of house you see being transported in two pieces on the interstate, but my mom took good care of it. Oh. There were a lot of woods surrounding the neighborhood that I would play in and explore during the day, but at night, as things often do to a kid, they took on a more sinister feeling. This coupled with the fact that, due to the nature of our house, there was a fairly large crawl space underneath filled my head with imaginary monsters and inescapable scenarios which would consume my thoughts when I was awoken by the footsteps. I told my mom about the footsteps, and she said that I was just imagining things. I persisted enough that she blasted my ears with water from a turkey baster once just to placate me, since I thought that would help.
What?
It's giving child abuse.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He said, since I thought that would help.
But as the mother, why would you do that? I mean, I guess.
What kind of water was it?
Just water. Blasted my ears with water from a turkey baster. I just...
Oh, because he thinks he's hearing things?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe she thought his ears were clogged, so everything was like... I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. Of course it didn't. Despite all the creepiness and footsteps, the only weird thing that ever happened was that every now and then I would wake up on the bottom bunk despite having gone to sleep on the top.
Oh.
But this wasn't really weird since I'd sometimes get up to piss or get something to drink and could remember just going back to sleep on the bottom bunk. I'm an only child, so it didn't matter. This would happen once or twice a week, but waking up on the bottom bunk wasn't too terrifying. But one night, I didn't wake up on the bottom bunk. I had heard footsteps, but was too far gone to be woken up by them. And when I was woken, it wasn't from the sound of footsteps or a nightmare, but because I was cold, really cold. When I opened my eyes, I saw stars. I was in the woods. I sat up immediately and tried to figure out what was going on. I thought I was dreaming, but that didn't seem right. Neither did me being in the woods. There was a deflated pool float right in front of me. One of those, like the one shaped like a shark. This only added to the surreal feeling, but after a while, it seemed like I just wasn't going to wake up because I wasn't asleep. I stood up to orient myself, but I didn't recognize these woods. I played in the woods by my house all the time, so I knew them really well. But if these weren't the same woods, then how could I get out? I took a step and felt a shooting pain in my foot, which knocked me back to where I had been just laying. I had stepped on a thorn. By the light of the moon, I could see that they were everywhere. I looked at my other foot, but it was fine, and as a matter of fact, so was the rest of me. I didn't have another scratch on me, and I wasn't even that dirty. I cried for a little bit and then stood back up. I didn't know which way to go, so I just picked a direction. I resisted the urge to call out since I wasn't sure I wanted to be found by who or what might be out there. I walked for what seemed like hours. Barefoot! I tried to walk in a straight line and tried to course correct when I had to take detours, but I was a kid and I was afraid. There weren't any howls or screams, and only once did I hear any noise that scared me. It sounded like a crying baby. I think now that it was just a cat, but I panicked. I ran, veering in different directions to avoid big thicks of bushes and collapsed trees, and I was paying close attention to where I stepped because by that point my feet were in pretty bad shape. I paid too much attention to where I was stepping and not enough to where those steps were leading, because not long after hearing the cry, I saw something that filled me with the kind of despair I haven't experienced since. It was the pool float. I was only 10 feet from where I had woken up. This wasn't magic or some supernatural space bending. I was lost. Up until that moment, I thought more about getting out of the woods than how I got in. But being back at the beginning caused my mind to swim. Interesting choice of words. I wasn't even sure that these were my woods. I had only been hoping that they were. Had I run in a huge circle around the spot, or did I just get turned around and start making my way back? How was I going to get out? At the time, I thought the North Star was just the brightest star, and so I looked and found the brightest star and followed it. Eventually, things started to look more familiar, and when I saw the ditch, a dirt ditch my friends and I would have a dirt clod wars in. Okay, I knew I had made it out. By that point, I was walking really slowly because my feet hurt so much, but I was so happy to be so close to home that I broke into a light jog. When I actually saw the roof of my house over a neighboring lower set house, I let out a light sob and ran faster. I just wanted to be home. I had already decided that I wouldn't say anything because I had no idea what I could possibly say. I would get back in the house somehow, clean up, and get in bed. My heart sunk as I rounded the corner and my house came fully into view. Every light in the house was on. I knew my mom was up, and I knew I would have to explain, or try to explain, where I had been, and I couldn't even figure out where to start.
How about I woke up in the woods?
What you gonna do? Get mad at you? Like,
that's how kids think, though. He's 6.
My run became a jog, which became a walk. I saw her silhouette through the blinds, and although I was worried about how to explain things to her, that didn't matter to me at that point. I walked up to the couple of steps to the porch and put my hand on the doorknob and turned. Right before I pushed it open, 2 arms wrapped around me and pulled me back. I screamed as loud as I could, "Mom, help me, please, Mom." The feeling of being so close to being safe and then being physically pulled away from it filled me with the kind of dread that is, even after all these years, indescribable. The door I had been torn away from opened, and a flash of hope shot through my heart, but it wasn't my mom. It was a man, and he was enormous. I thrashed around and kicked at the shins of the person holding me while also trying to get away from the person who had just come out of my house. I was scared, but I was furious. Let me go. Where is she? Where's my mom? What'd you do to her? As my throat stung from screaming and I was drawing in another breath, I became aware of a sound that had been present for longer than I had perceived it. Honey, please calm down. I've got you. It sounded like my mom. The arms loosened and sat me down, and as man approaching me blocked out the porch light with his head, and I noticed his clothes. He was a cop. I turned to face the voice behind me and saw that it really was my mom. Everything was okay. I began to cry, and the three of us went inside. I'm so glad you're home, sweetie. I was worried I'd never see you again. By that point, she was crying too. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just wanted to come home. I'm sorry. It's okay. Just don't ever do that again. I'm not sure me or my shins could take it. A little laughter broke through my sobs and I smiled a bit. Well, I'm sorry for kicking you. My God, my face is itchy. I'm sorry for kicking you, but why'd you have to grab me like that? I was just afraid that you'd run away again. I was confused. What do you mean? We found your note on your pillow, she said, and pointed at the piece of paper that the police officer was sliding across the table. I picked up the note and read it. It was a running away letter. It said that I was unhappy, never wanted to see her or any of my friends again. The police officer exchanged a few words with my mom on the porch while I stared at the letter. I didn't remember writing a letter. I didn't remember anything about any of this. But even if I sometimes went to the bathroom at night and didn't remember, or even if I could have gone into the woods on my own, even if all that could have been true, the only thing I knew at that point was, this isn't how you spell my name. I didn't write this letter.
And the mom didn't figure that out?
Yeah, what the hell? There's an edit. After a conversation with my mother about what happened when I was a kid, I was reminded of something that cannot be unrelated to this. It answers some questions about this story, but raises other questions that I'm still looking into. It also suggests that much of what I've been told about my life since I was a child isn't true. You can find this new story here.
Oh, there's an extra part. Somebody commented, did anything ever happen after this? He said, when my mom came back in, I told her I didn't write the letter, and she took it as me just trying to distance myself from what I did. But I showed her my name was spelled wrong, and she just said that I was upset when I wrote it. It's come back up a couple of times since then, but it's in her mind that I think it's something that she knows I did that I'll never admit to. We moved out of that area not long after that to the other side of the city because that neighborhood started going to shit even more. The only thing that really happened after that is that I noticed that I heard the footsteps less, which rather making me feel better just made me wonder about whether every other time was actually just my heartbeat. Well, we'll leave it at that and go to the next one.
Alrighty then. See, any other story to me was like a story meant to be scary. This one seems legit.
Yeah. I think most of ours today were like almost legit. Pull your microwave. Pull your microwave away from your face. Pull your microwave away from your face. All right, this one's called We Bought a House That Eats the Dead. We Started Feeding It.
Not as I'm eating.
The first time we noticed it was the house ate the flowers. It was a little bouquet of peonies that Aaron's stepmom had picked from her garden when we left them out in a vase overnight, and when we woke in the morning, they were gone. I never brought you flowers, she told us. The kids didn't remember either. Only Aaron and I had a memory of the moment where she burst into the front door holding them, welcoming us to our new home.
Wait, the mom saying that she never gave them flowers?
Yeah. The house's appetite soon became obvious. Anything that could be consumed disappeared in rapid time. Meat from the butcher never lasted overnight in the fridge. Vegetables rotted in a matter of hours and then disappeared entirely. Even the wood furniture decayed faster than usual, breaking down in a matter of months. Every time it happened, Aaron and I would exchange a knowing glance, even as the children denied we'd even been grocery shopping the day before or that the dining room table had ever existed.
What?
What kind of Twilight Zone shit is this? I was afraid, of course. I wondered if I'd wake up one morning to find something missing, a limb, or one of the children gone. Aaron tried to reassure me. Living things were unaffected. He and I were healthier than ever. Even our preschooler, Grace, barely ever got sick. Our older boy, Derek, was healthy as a horse and acing second grade. Even our white lab King seemed extra sprightly, though he was getting on in years. We should leave, I told Aaron. We don't know what it's capable of. It's clearly some kind of curse. Who knows when it will come for us? You're probably right, he said. He was always trying to make me happy. And so for a while, we diligently watched Zillow for other houses. This was during the tail end of COVID, though, and we bought the dip. And we'd bought the dip? Oh, like the dip in the housing market? That's a weird way to phrase it.
Really?
Everything was getting more expensive, especially when you factored in the new interest rates. Every day a move felt farther away. And then King died. We should have seen it coming. He'd been a step slow on his walks and hadn't pooped in 2 or 3 days. We finally he had some kind of retching sound that woke us up in the middle of the night. We went downstairs to find him dead in the middle of the living room.
What?
We'll take care of it in the morning, Aaron told me, hugging me close. King had been mine even before we got married. I held him one last time, saying goodbye. By the time we woke up the next day, he was gone.
Not my dog.
Why would you leave your dead dog in the living room in the morning? Or in overnight?
Where would you put it?
Wrap him up in a blanket and put him in a box or something. Like, something. I would do something, not just leave him there. I would go and bury him right now instead of in the morning.
Yeah, I would definitely bury him right away.
By the time we woke up the next day, he was gone. Grace and Derek ran around the yard happily as Aaron made pancakes, and I looked at the ocean with a 1,000-yard state. The wording in this story is so weird. After a few minutes, Derek ran up to me and handed me a chew toy. Look, he said, one of the neighbor's dogs must have left this in our yard. There's a bunch of them. They've forgotten about the dog. It's not good, I told Aaron that night. It's not right. Maybe it's for the best, he said. They're happy. Because they don't remember they ever had a dog. They loved King. Now that's just gone. Aaron rolled his eyes. Not all pain is good pain, he said. Maybe some things are better left forgotten. I thought back to my own girlhood when I'd lost Priscilla, my beloved black cat. A neighbor's Rottweiler had wrung the life out of her. It was the first time something I loved had died. For a few weeks after, I didn't fully understand. I still thought she'd come curl up with me as I went to sleep, once she was better. And then finally it dawned on me that there would be no better. That some things could be lost forever. Excuse me. Losing a pet is one of those childhood touchstones, I said. Something you look back as what defines you. It leaves a scar. We're more interesting with scars. I love you, said Aaron, and all of your scars, but no one goes out looking to get one on purpose. If we can protect the kids, we should, right? Right, I said, curling up next to him, too tired to argue. Who owned the place before you? Asked my sister, Amy, one day when I had her over for a glass of wine. I had told her everything, but when I tried to offer proof by leaving a small spill of wine on the ground, it didn't disappear. The house liked to keep its secrets. Amy had a little boy named Carter, a second grader just like Derek, and while we sipped our Chardonnay, we watched the two of them running in the grass, occasionally wailing on each other with foam swords. Some old lady sold it to us, I said. No family, she was downsizing. Huh, she said. Isn't downsizing for people whose kids go off to college? Sounds like she never had a family to begin with. I thought about that for a few seconds. Now that Amy mentioned it, it did seem strange that the seller had called it downsizing.
Oh my God.
I was about to follow up when we got interrupted, breaking up a fight. And by the time we got back to socializing, I'd completely forgotten our train of conversation. Do you think the house messes with the taste of the wine? I asked. Like, does it taste more like vinegar to you? I don't mind a little age, she said. Plus, I think you're fucking crazy anyway. Ugh, very blunt. I knew you wouldn't believe me, I said. Oh, no, I totally believe you about the house, she said. I just also happen to think you're fucking crazy.
Oh, rude.
After Amy left, I remembered her offhand comment about the previous owner, and I got to thinking, what if the woman did have a family at some point? And what if they died in the house? Would they have also been erased? Did the woman even remember? I couldn't sleep as the questions bounced around in my mind until finally I got up and headed down to the kitchen. I tried to find a slice of cake from earlier in the fridge, but it was long gone, paper plate and all. The kitchen was amazingly sterile. Little splits of milk or Little spills of milk or juice disappeared almost right away. That would be
That's
great.
lovely.
Crumbs, too. You probably could have done surgery on the counter.
Oh, wow.
Then I headed to my office and dug up the previous owner's information. She was named Paula Chung, and she'd owned the house for over 50 years, living there all by herself, not knowing quite what to say. I drafted a quick email asking if she'd be available to grab coffee and talk over some of the house's quirks. Since it was around 3 a.m, I wasn't expecting a reply for hours, days maybe, but Pamela wrote back right away, inviting me to her apartment the next morning.
Pamela's got some shit to say.
She's just been waiting on you to email her, girl.
Waiting on it, girl.
Pamela's apartment was kind of a wreck. It wasn't like something out of Hoarders exactly, but there was plenty of dirty dishes scattered all around and bookshelves and tables, and the whole place smelled vaguely of soap.
Well, yeah, she's used to
soup, not soap.
She's used to things disappearing and not having to deal with it.
That's true. You'll have to excuse my housekeeping, Pamela apologized, and I swept some crumbs to the side before sitting on the couch. I'm afraid 50 years in that house spoiled me as a cleaner. I do make an excellent cup of coffee, though. Interested? I nodded, and she headed to the kitchen. There was something oddly comforting about the untidiness of the place. I realized it had been months since I'd cleaned a wet ring from a coffee table or even washed a towel. There was just no need. Why wouldn't you have to wash the towels?
So these people have like endless amount of towels?
I'm confused.
Maybe she means like
wash like a kitchen towel because you have to clean with it.
So if she's not cleaning it, they're not getting dirty.
Yeah. Bath towels, though. A few minutes later, she came back and handed me the coffee, which was as delicious as advertised. There's something about the way that the house affects the beans, isn't there? She said, sipping a mug of her own.
Huh?
It's the little things that you don't realize.
Huh?
So, you experienced some unusual properties in the house? I asked. Well, of course, she said. That house is hungry. Not necessarily in a bad way, not to my thinking, just like any other tool. It all comes down to how you use it. She sipped her coffee, assessing me. Tell me, she said, are you and your husband both on the deed? Of course, I say. Good for you, she said. A true partnership, you see. In my case, I came from money. My family never trusted my husband. I was the only one who officially owned the house. I was the only one who remembered.
Amen, sister.
Yep, get it, girl. The realtor said, you didn't have a husband. I said, she said you didn't have a family.
Kelsey, no, reading ahead.
I'm not reading ahead. I'm trying to read back to see what I missed. Oh, that's just how the world remembers it, said Pamela. The only truth is right up in here. She tapped her head with a bony finger. I had children too, beautiful children, but that's all gone now. The house erased them too. But I don't mind. It makes the memory more special, don't you think? That it's only mine. I left the meeting with Pamela shaken, but at least I knew I wasn't crazy. The house genuinely ate the dead. I was just thinking through the full implications of what it all meant when I got the call from Amy. She was hysterical. What is it? I asked over and over, hoping she would calm down, but I almost didn't want to. Amy wasn't the type to fall to pieces over minor shit. If she was sobbing on the other end of the line, there could only be one explanation. It's Carter. It's Carter, she finally said. He was walking home from school, crossing the street. He must have not been looking. They said it was instant. He didn't feel any pain. Carter had been Amy's life. She'd been a single mom for almost half a decade at that point, and everything she did was built around him.
Aww.
Aaron and I tried to support her as she dealt with all of the arrangements, funeral, contacting relatives, arranging the cremation.
Oh my God.
But we couldn't be there for her at night when things got dark. She was drinking hard now. The fun Chardonnay happy hour replaced a 24/7 bottle of something harder always at her side. She watched TV like a zombie, barely able to pull herself off the couch to use the bathroom. All the while, Carter's urn stood watching her from the mantel, his name etched on the side, a constant reminder of his absence. And worst of all, there was nothing I could really say, because how else would you expect her to react? The one light in her life had been snuffed. She's going to keep drinking until she dies, I said, and there's nothing I can do. Aaron held me close. Unless, he started. Unless what? Come on, he said. Don't tell me you haven't thought about it. It would be just like King. Remember how happy the kids were the day after he died? We're not erasing Carter, I said. Fine, he said. But if we don't, we might be cremating your sister next.
Hang on. How does the husband think this is going to work? Because
Bring the urn to the house, and then when the house eats, then they'll forget.
But still, though, because how come they haven't forgotten about the dog?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because they're on the deed? Is that why?
Maybe.
And what was Regina, right?
Pamela.
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 She said she asked about that. Who's on the deed?
Yeah, maybe
so the
it
house
could be
knows
who remembers and who doesn't.
And that's how they decide.
Okay. I cut myself shaving that night. I watched as the blood...
I hate when that happens.
I watched as the drops of blood trickled down my leg and dripped onto the shower floor. They disappeared before it even reached the drain.
Oh my God.
I imagined dying in this house, the speed at which my body would decay and disappear. I thought of my children playing happily in the morning, oblivious to the fact that they'd never had a mother. And for the first time, I truly began to fear the house. Yes, it was a tool, just as Pamela had said, but it was a dangerous one, offering the potential for a kind of erasure worse than death. I found myself shaking despite the hot water all around me, praying I'd die somewhere far from that house. But despite it all, I wasn't ready to leave, just yet. There was still a use for this tool, no matter how dangerous. Get up, I told Amy a few days later. I know you don't want to, but you have to. No, she said weakly, her eyes never leaving the TV. I'm serious, I said. You need some fucking daylight. It's starting to stink in here. You're never going to feel better if you just keep doing this. Why would I want to feel better? She asked, an edge in her voice. Why would I possibly want that? You're right, I said, tears springing to my eyes. You're right. After she passed out that night, I tucked her under a blanket and grabbed Carter's urn as I left her house. Back at home, Aaron hugged me when he saw me walk in, urn in hand. You're doing the right thing, he said. You're saving her. There were certain places in the house where it seemed to eat things quicker. We called them hot spots. The kitchen was one. The bathroom was another. But nothing beat the basement. Anything down there tended to disappear in minutes. We'd once seen it devour a pizza in less than a half an hour. I took Carter's urn down there and gave it a quick kiss. Then I sat it down. I spent the next hour watching the smudges on the urn slowly disappearing, the fingerprints being erased. Then there was a quiet sound emanating from the jar, almost like sandpaper rubbing slowly against wood. Then finally the metal itself seemed to grow fuzzy in my vision, like I had squinted my eyes.
Oh my God.
And when I opened them, I realized the engraving had disappeared. Carter's name was gone. I walked over and picked up the urn, only to find it lighter than before. Inside, it was empty. The next morning, I woke to find Amy at my door in jogging clothes. She was beaming ear to ear. What's going on? I asked. I woke up with the mother of all hangovers, and I did the worst thing you can imagine.
Wait,
I weighed myself.
Another weird choice of words.
Mother of all hangovers? Yeah.
And she's about to forget.
Yeah.
Or she's forgetting that she's a mom.
Yeah. I weighed myself. When the hell did I gain 15 pounds? Well, meet the new healthy Amy. I'm done sitting around all alone, feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to get out there and get what I want. That's great, I said, but what do you want? Isn't it obvious, she said, gesturing to my house. Great husband, great kids, awesome house. You're living the dream, sis, and I'm not going to rest until I am too. I realized I was crying and that I'd never been able to explain to her why. I wiped my tears away. You doing okay? She asked, suddenly worried. I'll be fine, I said, knowing it was a lie. I waved goodbye as I watched my teardrops disappear from the floor down the house's throat.
Wow.
There's an update. We tried to sell the house that eats the dead. It turned into an open house from hell. We can save that one for next time.
Well, guys, this has been Scary Spooky Stories at the Here You Go podcast.
It's really extra spooky. Wait, what day does this
Hopefully
one come out?
you guys...
Oh, the 30th. So
30th.
tomorrow's Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Hallows Eve.
Yes, happy Hallows Eve, yeah.
Yeah. So, ooh, you know what?
Ooh, what?
Ew. Excuse me.
Yeah, ew.
I was going to say, I can't wait to see everyone in their costumes. Hopefully there are some good creative ones, funny ones.
Yeah.
Decorations, dog costumes.
Yep.
I love it. Hopefully it's not that cold.
Yeah.
This Halloween.
Yeah, it was
Did
freezing.
you go trick-or-treating last year?
Yes, it was freezing. We only lasted like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was snowing. Like,
It
very
wasn't
little.
snowing for us, but it was just
Oh.
very cold and windy.
Yes, it felt like winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's not do that
So,
again.
Yeah, let's not.
Seeing as it's like 75 today, hopefully it won't be.
Yeah,
but
probably won't be that bad. Probably just a little chilly.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.